From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's AMN Drive Time, brought to you by Aishin.
AMN Drive Time is sponsored by Aishin, your trusted and reliable source for aftermarket automotive components and technology. Visit AishinAftermarket.com for more information.
Matt, welcome to AMN Drive Time, sponsored by our great friends at Aishin.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you. So Matt, we're talking today kind of in two roles. You are the chair of YANG, which has just been a great organization, started not that long ago, but you're the current chair of YANG. And then you're also an account executive at Ubisense, and you work out of Chicago. So we're really glad to have you. I'm going to start off, Matt. You've been at Ubisense for a very short period of time, about 4 months or so, 4 or 5 months. Tell us maybe what you were doing before Ubisense. Tell us what Ubisense does and what you do for Ubisense.
Yeah, so prior to Ubisense, I've been in the aftermarket for, 10 years, 11 years, something like that.
Okay.
Primarily in digital assets. So I was really involved with ACPN and kind of getting 360 imaging up and going. That was kind of my bread and butter. I did it with Snap 36 first, and then with Visual SKUs, which is now part of Epicor.
Yep.
And then recently, I've decided to move more into the actual manufacturing side of life and see what kind of softwares I can help out in that space. And that's where Ubisense comes into play. You know, they're really at the forefront of real-time location systems and intelligence, kind of providing these digital solutions for manufacturers, logistics companies, everybody in the process, but obviously the automotive space as well. And what our technology does is it enables businesses to track assets, tools, workflows, people, if necessary, for safety reasons, and kind of take all that information and create a story with it. So not only can we show them where these actual things are, but we can actually take that information and show them where they should be, where they need to be, and kind of start analyzing it from there. So we work both on the software and the hardware side of that life. And then my job is sales.
You're in a sales role. So you've been in the aftermarket for about 11-ish years between Ubisense and your other roles, right? So in your 11-year career here, plus or minus, any interesting takeaways about the aftermarket? Anything you've learned about the aftermarket that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think that the aftermarket is interesting. One, and the coolest thing about the aftermarket that I always tell people is it really is a very familial type space. A lot of people, everyone's there to help each other out. It's the only industry I've worked in. And in my other roles, I've had to work across a number of different industries, but it's the only space where everyone really is just trying to work well and work together to make everything better. And it's an interesting piece because I know that it's the aftermarket that is kind of competing in a space where they're trying to, kind of beat the OEs at different replacement parts and such, but they work together while also competing. So the competition is really interesting to me, which kind of leads into the fact that the aftermarket is really complex and deep as well. Initially when you're thinking aftermarket, my first thought when I heard aftermarket was adding things to cars, putting spoilers on, all that other fun stuff. Not even thinking about the pieces where, hey, what if it breaks? We've got to do not just the cool stuff, but the actual functioning things and how supply chain can even kind of impact all of those things.
Matt, you became chair of YANG in July of 24. So call that 6 or 7, 8 months you've been in that role. So describe the role of the chair and what you're doing in your vision for the organization. And maybe for the benefit of our audience, I think most people know YANG, of course, but it's relatively newer to the aftermarket, and it's grown in numbers very, very quickly. So in addition to your role and vision, Matt, maybe give a brief history of YANG, of when it started and what the current count is, et cetera. I think that'd be great for the AMN audience to hear again.
Yeah. So Yang started actually independently in the aftermarket as the Young Automotive Networking Group, which is what Yang stands for, as a way for the younger generation to start developing some of those relationships that the older generation already had. So, the way that business used to be done, I think, facilitated deeper relationships than what business these days allows for, naturally anyway. The networking events aren't as prominent. We're not getting around as much. It's a lot of digital even today, and so initially this was developed so that the younger group could start building those relationships and not just be kind of on the side, and really get people interested in the industry so that they stay in the industry.
The group has grown considerably. What's your count right now for members? And you have to be 39 and younger or 40 and younger. Are you out at 40?
It's a delicate area, but typically you're out at 40.
Okay.
If you're in a council role, then basically you can kind of finish out your 40th year. But usually when you turn 40, it's really for the under 40 crowd to kind of, again, the design isn't so that people over 40 feel left out. It's more to make people under 40 feel more included and to give them kind of the access to things that they wouldn't usually get. But we've got over 1,600 active members through social media and through our newsletters, things of that nature. But really, the interesting part of Yang is anybody who's a company that's a member of the Auto Care Association, all of their employees under 40 can be members of Yang. It's just a matter of signing up and getting the newsletters and getting involved. So it's really, we've got 1,600 active, but there's a much larger group of people we could be helping out if more people just realize that it's already part of their subscription. It's already been paid for. It's a free thing that they get to do as being part of the Auto Care Association.
Sure. It's a great organization. So you've been in there since July. Is your term as chair 1 year or 2 years?
The chairman is a year. So we do a year at vice, a year at chairman, and then a year at past chair, which is just an overseeing role to help out. It's not a voting role, though.
So why don't you tell us about your first 7 or so months at this and what you're thinking for the last 5 or 6 months you've got for your chair role term?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that for me coming into this, one of my big goals, and Grace was the chair before me, and she was a great example of how things can be run. And I'm just taking it another step further and really putting people in the position to make good choices. And we have an awesome council this year. And so my job really within Yang has been to help support all of the awesome council members that we have. I've got a vision that kind of starts it all, which is really just kind of growing as far as our networking events, as far as our digital engagements, our education piece, our sponsorships and our scholarships, and kind of continuing to grow that. But then we have awesome council members that lead each of those pillars. And so I'm really here to support them and to help anybody under the 40, anybody in the 40 and under group really begin to bridge that gap between talent from the industry veterans as well.
So Matt, is there a signature event or certain things throughout the year for Yang that you might consider, hey, if you can't do everything we're doing, you want to make sure you do your best effort to do this or that or the other thing?
Yeah, there's kind of 3 big events and then a bunch of little ones. The 3 big ones would be our Yang programming at Connect Week, which this year is in Phoenix, May 12th through the 15th. We're on the front end of Connect Week, and it's our flagship event. It's where we all kind of come together. It's where we have 2 full days of content where we're bringing in leaders from the industry, from outside the industry, just really to help people. So that's the event that I would tell. If you can't make anything else, Yang at Connect is the place to be as far as meeting with your peers, as well as getting the most out of the information that we're gathering year round. Additionally, Yang is at Fall Leadership Days and the Legislative Summit this year, which is in obviously Washington, D.C. That's in September 17th through the 19th. Another great opportunity. We don't have specific programming for that event, but it is a big gathering of people, and it's an awesome opportunity to get in front of legislators and kind of understand that process a lot more, while also bumping elbows with CEOs and C-suite people because they're there, and it's a really cool opportunity. And then our biggest meetup of the year is at Apex every year. It's sponsored by the group typically. This past year it was a fantastic event, 80s themed, a lot of awesome opportunity to meet with your peers because, sometimes we don't all get to go to everything, like you said, but a lot of people get to go to Apex. So it's a great opportunity to meet up. And then always look for regional meetups. We're having them typically in conjunction with a lot of the events that AutoCare puts on, but also some outside of it. So keep up to date. And if one's near you, even if you're not going to the event, typically you can still attend the YANG networking events.
So Matt, is tradition on AMN Drive Time to do something we call lightning round. And for the lightning round, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. You're going to give me a quick answer off the top of your head.
Deal.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. In your spare time in Greater Chicago, what do you like to do?
I'm a baker, so I bake a lot.
You're a baker.
I am.
Baking is science and cooking is art, right?
That's right. It's a blast. I absolutely love it. Nothing helps you wind down like following a good baking schedule.
Since you're an aftermarket guy for 11 years, do you have a dream car?
Someone asked me this the other day. I was at the Chicago Auto Show, and I've always wanted a two-door Jeep, bright yellow with a black top. Always have, always will. That is the dream car for whatever reason. That's the one.
Vacation, beach, mountain, city, or other?
Beach. Give me a drink out of a pineapple and a folding chair, and I am happy.
In Chicago, in Greater Chicago, do you have a favorite restaurant?
I love Boca. It's a little bit pricier. It's an event, but it's delicious. It's down near Lincoln Park, I believe.
Okay.
It's an event space, but it's an awesome meal.
Last question for you. Any words of wisdom that you live by? Maybe a mentor or a parent or a close friend or advisor shared with you that you just live by on your own?
There's probably two. One would be kind of everything's your fault. So just figure out how to fix things as opposed to trying to figure out how to blame someone else. Just get it done. And then the other one is, learn to laugh at yourself because everyone else already is. Life's short. Have a good time. Make memories. And, that's the best way to go about it as far as I'm concerned.
Terrific. Matt, it's great to have you on AMN Drive Time, sponsored by our great friends at Ishin.
Thank you very much.